If 2023 wasn't your year and you're trying to make 2024 better and you're trying to add some depth, this episode's for you. It's going to be jam-packed with a lot of fun stuff and how you can improve in 2024. Welcome back to the Chasing a Greater Vision podcast. I'm your host, Rickey Jasper. Today's topic is New Year improvements, 4 things to focus on in 2024. So this is going to be something that I'm sure is going to be talked about so much. So I have a little bit of a different spin on it, but I'm going to go through at a high level the 4 things right now. Number 1, learn from the past and past mistakes you made the year previously. Number 2, cut the fat. We'll get into that. That'll be a fun part. Number 3, set 2 different types of goals. That's going to be very key, very important. And number 4, straight up, just work like a dog. Now, I sincerely believe that this year is the year of leveling up, but leveling up in a different way. What I personally get annoyed about and what I think is an issue with going into any new year is it's new year, new me. It's everything is new and this is new. And what happens is when you go into every single year, it's all of these new goals and new things, but it's never a building upon what happened last year. It's never something that is a level of consistency. So instead of getting depth into our year, instead of getting depth into what we're doing, we just end up kind of surface leveling something new for a month maybe, and then we completely forget about it, and then we're back into habits. We're back doing the same thing, being the same ourselves, and we can't sit back and look at our year and say, hey, this is something that I stay consistent with that actually grew. So I really want to get into that as well, because the goal of this podcast episode and the goal of the new year is to be able to see exactly and to be able to articulate what has changed throughout the year, and also to completely narrow your focus. I'm going through it right now. I'll talk about it as this episode goes on, but I want this to be a year that we narrow our focus so we can get more depth. When you're broad, you're broad, you can't get any depth, right? You're always going to be high level, surface level. So we're going to get into our tips and tricks. This is just practical knowledge that I've worked through, that I'm working through, and we'll get right into it. Number 1, learn from the past and past mistakes. I always go back to when I was dating and dating wrong. I would end up dating the same type of people because I was also being the same type of person. So I wasn't having the best habits with dating. So that would always attract a level of dysfunction, toxic nature, whatever. And a lot of it was because of me. So when I looked back on how, the trajectory of my dating would be or my relationships would be, I was like, this isn't going to get better unless I get better, because it's not that I was dating bad people. It was that I was being a more dominant force and another person was kind of capitulating to what I wanted. And what I wanted was probably not the best thing. So I had to really take inventory of how I was doing things and change things up. So don't be afraid to look back and really, this is one time where it's like, be hard on yourself, right? Because learning from past mistakes, you have to have a level of tough love. I know for myself, like I'm a perfectionist, so sometimes I have to give myself grace because I'll be too hard on myself. But there are things where you can look back and you can say, you know what? I actually did have the maturity level to not make those mistakes, and I made them anyway, right? There's some things that you're just going to make mistakes, like with time, with, being immature around certain things. Like we're all going to make mistakes. We should all make mistakes as often and as early as possible. But there are things that we know better to do or what not to do, that we can change. So really take inventory of areas where you've made consistent and critical mistakes, in that you want to say, you know what, coming into 2024 or as this year progresses, I want to not make those mistakes. Now, why is this important? Because when you stop making mistakes in specific areas, like when I stopped making the same mistakes for myself, showing up a certain way in dating, then what happened was the quality of dates, the quality of relationships increased. So it's not just, hey, let's just not make mistakes for the sake of not making mistakes. It's let's not do this so that we can gain something in return. We can see another aspect of life. Like I typically go to, talk about Carly, my fiance, the life that we're building. That's not possible if I don't sit back, I'm not hard on myself, and I'm not learning from my mistakes. Number 2, cut the fat. Now, this is mentally and physically. Now, why I say mentally and physically, because I think that it's vitally important. I stay fit as I possibly can because it gives me so much energy throughout the day. It gives me a lot of confidence to do what I'm able to do. And it's not something where I say fit because I'm like, oh, I need to, be the best looking person. It's like, no, I I run, I work out, I do these things because I feel amazing when I do it. From a mental standpoint, there was a period of time where I was working 2 tech jobs and I was just going, right? Now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, time to cut some of that fat because there's other things that I want to do. This podcast coming out with a lot of just really cool programs directed at busy IT professionals who feel overworked, who feel completely burnt out, and they're trying to get their mental health back in check. They're trying to get their physical health back in check. They're trying to be able to communicate better. For me, it's the narrowing in a focus on what I know that I'm good at and what I know that I love doing and really doing that. So I have to cut other things around my life that don't align with that. From a mental aspect, I cannot spend time, consistently working a dream for someone else. Like I have to consistently spend time working a dream for myself. So I have to cut some fat over here, right? And also from a physical standpoint, I have to keep myself in tip-top shape because I know that when I go on vacation and I eat horribly and I don't work out, at all or well, it's not that that's not okay to do. You should do that when you're on vacation, but it's the days after where those habits still remain for me for a few days and I feel worse. And it's like I feel worse in those days and I feel worse in the days leading up to it. So that affects me mentally. That affects how I work. That affects how I do things. So cutting the fat is really being able to look at yourself and look at a fitness perspective where you can be better, where you should be better because of what that's going to give you. Now, it's going to take away some time because you're going to have to spend some time improving yourself in that area. But I always say, if you take away and you sacrifice something, you will always gain something in return. You will gain the mental clarity. You will gain some confidence back. You'll gain a lot of things that are able to push you towards your goals and to push you towards more depth in your life and in your day-to-day as we go along through this year. Number 3, set 2 types of goals. Now, I think that this is the most important and critical step. If you're still here with me right now, this is extremely important. I was watching a podcast that had a guy named Dr. Lieberman on this podcast, and I thought it was what he said, it kind of blew my mind, and it's such a simple concept. Set 2 types of goals. One goal is dopaminergic or dopamine, filling. The other goal is completely for resting. It has nothing to do with a dopamine spike. Now, I am no scientist in this regard, but I do very much understand this concept, right? From a dopamine standpoint, when I sit in front of camera, I get energy. I feel hyped. I get so excited when Mason, tears down for the podcast. I'm hyped throughout the rest of the day because my brain is buzzing. I have so many ideas. I feel like I've done what I'm passionate about. All the dopamine. I am extremely hyped. So I know that I have to set goals within what I'm doing, within something that makes me feel that good, something that induces dopamine, that when you do it, you feel so good. When it's away from you, you're thinking about it, you want to improve on it, you want to do those things. Set goals within that, because that means that you're in the right place. Right now, I'm working on, again, a few courses for busy IT professionals, because I've been in IT for 11 plus years, and I've been in various different roles and various different lead roles and things of that nature. And I understand unique issues that they have. And I've also been a NASM certified personal trainer. I've also built a fitness apparel brand for 5 years with a solid group of people, right? So I have other things that I've done that are very legitimate outside of IT. And so that is going to be something that this year I'm focusing on bridging the gap, because I'm sitting back and I'm like, I have such a passion for technology. Like, I use it every day. I build it every day. And then I have such a passion for this. So when I think of that, my brain gets buzzing, that dopamine hits, and I'm like, I have to do something in this area. I have to marry that, because I get so excited for it. When you find something that excites you so much, start to create goals in that, because what that does is you wake up, you feel good, you're excited, you're chasing something. I'll tell you right now, as fast as I'm talking, that's because I can barely sleep at night, because I'm so excited for what I've been working on for the past month or 2 months, that it hasn't been seen here. It hasn't been seen yet, but I'm literally chipping away at it day and day and just working overtime hours to knock it out, because I'm so excited. That's one goal. Second goal is have goals for being present. Now, on the flip side, as much as I can sit and I can do this all day, like, I'm somebody, when I focus in, I can work out and I can sit and I can work and I can just work all night, especially when it's something that excites me. And then being present is something that's actually very hard for me to do. have something that you're able to be present with, that you are setting aside time to be completely, these goals or these things, nothing to do with dopamine. For me, it's taking the dogs on a walk twice a day. Does it happen all the time? Like, I say twice a day. I guess it's more so 3 times because we take them in the morning and then 2 times during the day. Does it happen all the time? Sometimes I can only get them once during the day. Yes, but I set a goal because this has nothing to do with achieving anything. I'm just achieving being present, I guess, right? And it's something where you can set aside time that you're being present. Why this is important is because we have so many things that take us out of the present moment. When you're on your phone, you're not present. When you're, doing stuff, you're typically not present. You're not thinking about the moment. You're not living in the moment. It's always, well, what happened in the past and what am I striving for in the future and what anxiety because of the future and what guilt do I have from the past? But it's not just diving into the present moment. So create dopamine inducing goals and then create goals of just being present. And number 4, it's a very simple concept, work like a dog. Now, I have 2 dogs. Carly and I have 2 dogs. One dog, his name is Clyde. He is a very, very, very lazy dog. Like, he will sit on the couch all day, every day, twice on Sunday, and he won't move. And it's like sometimes you open the door to go out for a walk, and he looks at you and he puts his head back. He doesn't want to do anything, right, at all. But he is so food motivated. So whenever there's a treat or whenever there's a smell of a food, he will lose his mind. He will dig through anything. We used to live in San Diego, California. We used to live. Carly used to live in Little Italy. And so in Little Italy, like, she kind of lived near a 7-Eleven, and a lot of people would, I guess, eat, chicken wings, drop the bones or whatever. The amount of times he would sprint hard and pull us on the leash and dig real quick and find chicken bones, I've never seen a dog so locked in to that. And that is, and it's on one thing. It's on food. And that is the only thing that you will see a level of energy and a level of tenacity and passion that I've never seen from any other dog, right? Have that level towards what you are trying to accomplish, because what that does is that narrows your focus and you are working so hard towards that focus. I want this year to be a year where we add depth, where next year when we're having this conversation, we're not just creating a bunch of new goals. What we're doing is we're creating additional goals based on things that we've already accomplished that are in line with what we are doing this year. Because as we grow and as we do things, and the purpose of this podcast is not just to do stuff, it's to add depth in your life, and it's to add depth for what you do. Because when you do that, you bring other people along, and you also cultivate communities, you cultivate relationships, you are able to build, generational wealth. You're able to do things that are very meaningful and impactful, and they're very intentional. So the word of the day is depth, and I'll say 2 words, and intentionality. Be intentional with what you do and bring a level of depth and focus into everything that you're doing, that you're going for in 2024. So I hope that this message help you out. Again, number 1, learn from your past mistakes. Number 2, cut out the fat mentally and physically. Number 3, set 2 types of goals, one from a dopamine standpoint, one from a just being mentally present. And number 4, we got to work like a dog. We got to be focused, locked in on the scent of what we're trying to go to, and we are going to do it together. Thank you all so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this episode, please send it to somebody else who you know it can help, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace. Thank you so much for watching this video. We have clips and content coming out every single week, full videos on Thursdays, and clips coming out almost every single day. You can subscribe to this channel if you like it. Also, please send it to somebody who you know needs this message or any message that you see, and we will see you in the next video.